Hey fam, welcome back to another episode of I'm Telling You.
Telling you.
As always, your amazing host, Philly D.
Mr. Gemini.
Okay, Clacker Fact Checker, Miss JD.
Yeah, and as always, if you want to reach out to us, continue that conversation, we'd appreciate it. ity@directionsandmusic.org. Yeah, and first-time listeners is 30-year friendship of me and you chopping it up, and now we got Miss JD because she's definitely a permanent part of this. She's been around long enough, so
We got a Corella for the Corella.
yeah, we got two of us being jackasses and trying to throw each other off the tracks, and then she comes in and fact checks us. And
I didn't say Coraller. I said Corella.
Corella, yeah,
It's a Corella.
There's definitely an apostrophe and some emphasis on syllables.
Correct. We don't like ass.
Dude, she don't.
We just throw letters
We
out.
just throw letters out. We don't like the ass.
And we try to throw the silent Q's back in, right?
That's right. You got to do that.
Yeah. Well, speaking of throwing stuff in, we got a special guest with us tonight.
Vic?
Yeah. Hi, guys. I know we just did a green room. Name's Victor Baello. I have the Small Media Large Pop Art Gallery, so guess local artist. Thank you guys for having me on the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so it just ran into this guy at his place of business, and we just hit it off right off the bat. So that's really just bringing it around again full circle, man. That's what we do. It's making that connection. It's having that conversation that.
Well, see, the thing I think that's cool about what we got going here is how you were excited to me towards the idea of a conversation with him, and then meeting him and him expressing his excitement towards the idea of having the conversation with us was the same thing, because it was like we do movie speak and we're like deep intellectual as well as like way off the rails and doesn't matter. So is the fact that
I know we're not the only guys that do the movie speak.
there's
thing.
proof right here though, but
That's
it's like, and on the same level.
Like, 'cause sometimes I have a thought and it's actually song lyrics,
Yep.
or a movie quote, and I can't help myself. It's like Roger Rabbit when you say shaving a haircut or you knock on the wall, and it's like
he's got to do it.
Yeah, it was like, again, I was listening to another episode and you were talking about the obscure lines. I forgot what movie it was, but it was something like everything got silent. And then one guy says,
Sherlock.
Yeah, Sherlock Holmes with Guy Ritchie.
Yes.
Direction. So when he did, so it's the first one. Yeah, it's at the end of the fight scene where you see,
The Robert Downey.
yeah, Robert Downey Jr. basically do the mental thought of beating this guy up, and then he actually beats the guy up. He does the foot kick to his chest, and the whole room, it literally goes dead silence, and you just hear this dude in the back just go, "Oi, where did that come from?"
yeah, like
I love that line.
it's so weird when you say something like that and then someone goes, "Oh my God, Sherlock Holmes," and you feel like, "Oh, are we brothers? Did we just become best friends?" I've been
Brothers don't shake hands. Brothers hug.
like I've been speaking this foreign language and someone gets what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And that's the weird part about like even your show itself, listening to it. I was listening to it, and like I said, I was playing Elden Rings in the background. You guys kept pulling my attention from, which is probably one of the greatest games of all time. Like I was saying, I wouldn't go into boss areas.
That's quite a compliment.
this is a high
that's a high compliment.
Yeah,
It's high
agreed.
praise.
Yeah, and it is, because if you guys were talking about something great, I stayed out, and even if you guys were just,
He's like, I'm not going to go to the scary part right now because I know it's going to pull my attention away from this. So he'd wander.
Yeah, like you were talking about Napoleon Dynamite, and then I remember, and I'm sitting there, I'm listening to it, and you got the one, and I don't mean to call you out or anything, but
No, bro, we both, him more than me, but too. I paraphrase and go. But please, by all means, call me out.
It's just very something simple. You
You
called
most likely, I don't know.
the uncle.
Yeah, the
Jesse.
Uncle Jesse. Yeah,
And it's Uncle Rico.
Correct.
And I'm sitting there, I'm going, and I realized, I was like, oh, that's a good show, that I was actually so invested that I like you can't pause Elden Ring, so I'm not going to lie and say I paused it. But, I'm sitting there going, it's Uncle Rico, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, they're not even here. I'm a lunatic talking to my phone.
That's what I want to happen, though. Like, I kind of want to engage people to the point where they call and they correct me. And then I can go, thank you.
Yeah.
Like I didn't watch it yesterday. I'm pulling from old memories. It was whatever, you know?
As long as you don't say it with hate, and you go, how could you call yourself a Napoleon Dynamite fan? It goes, man, you got my.
I'm not. I've seen it once. I'll be totally honest. I've seen it once. And I explain this to you, only because the person involved that wanted us to watch it, and, we never really mixed all that well. So, but. So anytime I would see, if I was to see the movie again, it would remind me of this person, and that's why I've only seen it once.
I felt that way about two things: Game of Thrones and Howl's Moving Castle. Both things are excellent. But I was with this person I was dating at the time, and I guess we're coming towards the end of the relationship where like anything that they say is good, you're just like, I don't want to be a part of this, So it was all, you should watch Game of Thrones.
Anything that you did in the past is just like, I can't do that anymore.
Like, I hate everything you do. I don't love the things you love. I'm kind of out of it at this point, So she's showing me, and again, I would watch Howl's Moving Castle later on. And I remember I instantly, when the first 20 minutes, I'm going, all these old things. And I got past it. And I was like, this is like one of my favorite films of all time. And, again, it was just, it wasn't just her. I'm not going to be that kind of guy. It was just the whole environment I was in. So I get it. When someone tells you something amazing and you're just like, it's like someone breaking up with you at a 5-star restaurant. You're just like, that restaurant sucks. Man, it
could be the greatest restaurant ever, but you're always going to think about that moment that you had there. Exactly. And I'm sorry, but that shit cuts deep.
It does, man. Like I didn't pay attention.
Even if you've gotten over it, it's still like, if it whatever it was, I don't like that beer anymore because that's the beer I had that night when I was broken up with. And
exactly. Like, I'm sorry I didn't pay attention to Clam's Casino because my ex was currently telling me she slept with my brother. So I missed the complexity and the flavors. I wasn't really there at the time. That wasn't a real story, by the way, but I'm just saying. Like,
and now when I see it, it makes me want to vomit. It's not that it's not a good dish. I'm sure it is.
You get frustrated at certain things. And I don't know. It is refreshing to see, like you said, conversation that we do it at the shop. You guys could come over and hopefully when you're there one day, we'll just be shooting the breeze just like the show. And customers walk in. If I see them double look, I'll throw them in, and I'll be like, and I'll tell them, I'll say, hey man, you saw that movie, and they'll get in, they'll throw their theory in. And that's the best thing in the world, especially when everything's so synthetic that you go, wow, there's a real moment, like a real connection with another human.
I feel like, and this is one of my theories, is I feel like especially it's not around so much that when it is, it's like people desire that connection, that personal connection that you don't get. Like, I could order a print like that online, not that print, but I could order a print like that online any day, but I chose to go into your store.
Thank you, and it's true. And I tell the other artists that I say, when you're out there, you have one part responsibility, which is your art. Luckily, I do an industry where this does speak for itself. So, in its own way, whether you like it or not, you come in and I would never want to sell somebody something that
I like that piece because it's minimalist.
I love minimalist stuff.
Yeah, I like that.
I even joked about doing a black and white, just all gallery one day, just to keep it so simple. But yeah, you the stuff connects with the people visually, and then there's you behind it that you go, you know what, man, I like this dude, and we talked, and sure, he said Snarf is the best Thundercat. That made no sense, but if that's his only strike, then so be it. We didn't talk about anything heavy.
Right, but the thing I'm left with is, but the dude's a great conversationalist. He can sit there and spin a yarn, and you're hooked. For the 5 minutes, if I can have anybody on that's like that, that's.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest, go back to the whole Snarf thing, depending on the context, that's totally applicable.
Right?
Again, depending on what scale we're asking, that's a viable answer. So
Snarf was down for the cause. Not a lot of people
a little punk bitch, but
right. And Snarf,
same thing with Scooby, man. Scooby or Shaggy, you're just like, man, you all ain't good for nothing.
That was huge.
Dude, Snarf got gypped. And when you think about it, because Lionel was supposed to be a kid. His thing, whatever, broke, so he aged, he became a man physically, but he was a kid mentally. So when you think about it, Snarf was supposed to be Lionel's pet, and the two of them would have grown together, and who knows what Snarf's final form really looks like. So Snarf is like, hey man, I'm still I just got a golden retriever. She's 8 months old. She's an idiot and I love her. But imagine if we freeze her in time with my 16-year-old, but her cage breaks, and now my kid's 35, my golden retriever's 8. My golden retriever's going to be confused as hell. Hence Snarf's disposition of, wait a minute, like, when he's all like
distrusting his actual like expectations.
And Lionel's like, I'm the leader of Thundercats. Look, I got a claw. And Snarf's like, shit, we're hanging out a minute ago,
I know, right? Dude, I thought we were just going down to the creek, Timmy. What's happening?
You're asking a lot of this guy.
Exactly.
Yeah. Dude, it's very Jesus-like. You know what I mean? All of a sudden, just like, hey, by the way, you're a man now. You're like, wait, what? You're going to be responsible for everything around you. What's going on, man? Yeah, it's like a deep weird downward spiral shit. Oh, yeah.
And if you think about it, just like good old JC, there's a weird chapter in Lionel's life that's missing from 13 to 30. And
we've had this conversation. Yeah, because that was in Dogma, which that's another
a really good point.
That's another thing that I love about like Kevin Smith or John Hughes or any of those cats, where not only do they really get the big picture on a true psychological perspective, meaning that they give that raw, organic, honest, interpretation, but they also do it in a very comical and intelligent manner.
See, I think that's something very, it's what I talk about all the time, where the comedy is in the bend. So the straight, A to B story, straight line. If you could bend a certain part of it without breaking it, the snap is where you lose the audience. But if you could bend something, hence in Dogma, Chris Rock, being the Black Apostle, and
literally the black sheep of the apostles that's written out.
Right. And he even says, and I won't say the full line because we all know it. He goes, Jesus, I know him. He says, blank owes me $12.
Yeah.
And, it's the greatest line ever because it's so light about something so heavy, and that's the juxtaposition. And it's something I even tell people all the time. I'm like,
that's what I love, that people can laugh about that because it's a joke.
It's a joke. It's
like, it's not meant to be taken seriously. It's not like, I never understood the whole thing about taking the Lord's name in vain. It's like, what does that mean? I think if you insult this life that you live,
yes,
I think that's something different. I think to me, that's a true.
That's something, and again, I know we don't want to go too heavy, but I always tell people, I'm like, look, you could find morals in anything. You could, the same person who grabs any religious book, insert your faith here, they can find whatever thing. So let's keep it light. Someone grabs a Batman comic, right? And they read it and they go, wow, this Bruce Wayne dude is amazing. He took his family's fortune, cast it all the way. He's going to be Batman. He's going to do the right thing. But the same dude or another cat's going to grab that book and he's going to go, wait a minute, I like this Joker dude. He's pure chaos. He's this, he's that. And it's no different. Someone might like the light or someone might like the dark.
The reference that you could do that with any book of...
Any book.
See, this is why I like Barney Stinson from How I Met Your Mother, because every movie he watches, his vision of what the hero is always what we would seem as like the villain. Perfect case is like Die Hard.
Yep.
They're just like, who's he's like, who's the villain in that? And he's like, it's like, well, it's obviously freaking John McClane. He's like, Hans Gruber's the hero. The movie's called Die Hard. He dies from a freaking building as he falls out. He's like, he dies hard. It's literally named after him, I
tell you, man.
And the same thing was like Karate Kid. He was just like, he's like, freaking Johnny, the kid who's like, he's there. He's got the chick. All of a sudden, this punk from Jersey comes over, kicks his radio, takes his chick, goes into like the dance with her and stuff. And he's just like, who's this dude? Then he comes and takes his championship away. It's like, you having that alternate view, it's like, yo, bro, like, there's two sides to every story. That's always, I love the idea of like
talking to my guy all wrong.
Well, yeah, what's the old saying is you're going to be the bad guy in somebody's story.
Absolutely.
Like there's nothing. Even Mother Teresa, that sweet lady, somebody somewhere somehow or another has cursed her out.
Oh, definitely. And I want to meet that guy. Like I want to
talk to that bro. Like, what's your rationale like? Yeah, I get that.
Because we all have that bad day, and just we're not ourselves.
And he couldn't get his dunk in that day, and he's like, what, Mother Teresa?
Like Mother Teresa's just there. She's hugged 1,000 lepers, and all she wanted was like an eggs Benedict, but it's not cooked right, and she just totally snaps on some poor Perkins waitress. I just want to see that.
See Mother Teresa.
Mother Teresa at a Perkins. Just like, you call this eggs Benedict?
Sure,
like,
it's not
do
an
it again. Throws the plate. And
there's not an IHOP. We can just take it up. To
no, she won't get down with IHOP. She has standards.
She's not that international.
She's not. Yeah, she's like, I do enough international.
If we're talking about working with lepers, I think IHOP is probably a more appropriate place.
Oh, absolutely, dude. Like when you're here,
come on, because if you lose, dude, come on.
Yeah.
Wah, wah, wah.
Didn't
Crickets,
they do
crickets.
Yeah, they were so low that they tried to be like the International House of Burgers. And
That was a spoof thing that they did, yeah.
was it a
iBop.
spoof? You know?
Yeah, no, they came out afterwards. Whether they initiated it as a marketing employee or not, the subsequent event was them coming out and saying, "Oh yeah, no, we totally did that. It was a marketing ploy. We were never going to do it. This was just, so it was like,
Oh, okay.
Oh, it was,
You know
they
what
were
that
trying to
is?
go
You know what
viral
that
on
is?
it. It's
That's-
free advertisement.
That's like
basically.
that one joke you drop at a party,
Like-
and it just till you get that, huh,
Or
like that really uncomfortable laugh, and then everybody looks away and like starts filing their nails.
That was a fake laugh, by the way.
It's like when you're too cowardly to tell your girlfriend, like the friend that's a chick, and like you want to get out of the friend zone, but you're too cowardly, and like, you know what we should do? That'd be really crazy. We should make out, and then the girl's like, yeah, that'd be weird. It's like, yeah, I know, right? Unless you want to. Like that's what I have to do. They're just like, listen, we're gonna do burgers.
No, but I mean,
now.
for real, like seriously.
Like, but seriously, you want a mushroom Swiss one? Like, if you do, we could do it. But no, okay, we'll just do pancakes. Like, we're fine with that. Because that's like, it was a marketing ploy. Same thing as the guy at the party. Like, yeah, I didn't mean to say we'd make out, but I was kidding. Like, that would have been crazy. Anyway, I'm gonna go walk off a bridge, and I'll talk to you later.
Back to IHOP. Never mind. We were joking. It was a
See you at
joke.
the gates of Valhalla. Thanks for turning me down. But yeah, I mean, even to go with the jokes, and I would tell people about the Batman book. You'd read that. Everybody knows the Superman reference, how close it is. The last son comes down, raised by two other people, to compare with JC himself. And I'm like, that's fantastic. But then my joke was always, your faith comes from within. You got to believe in yourself at the end of the day. Because if you walk to the edge of a building and you jump off and you're waiting for JC, Batman, or Superman to catch you, believe it or not, your odds are exactly the same, man. Like, isn't that just so crazy?
And you know what? And this is what I always. So, being the educational career that I took, one of the things that I was like taught in statistics was like, yeah, it's like all things given, basic economics, everything even. These are the likely outcomes. But the adage usually comes with it is like, statistics never lie and liars always use statistics. So when you use the numbers right, it totally could help like compel the story. But however, in your scenarios where it's like that, it's like, dude, honestly, this is where like the numbers is like, no, bro, I'm sorry to inform you, which is what I always loved. We've talked a few times is Elon Musk says it's something like there's a 1 in a billionth chance that we're not in a simulation. And it's like, think about that. Because, I mean, just as much as there's a 1 in a billion chance that we are in one or we're not in one, or that this is like a real actual existence, this is something that's transcending as we're speaking and we're not even aware we are. And, so it's like everything is possible.
Dude, everything, like, that's what I like to do. I was telling my friends once, and I said, and I got a lot of hot water for this. And so, just local friends. And I was joking. I'm not joking. I said, what would it have been like? I said, if we lived in a world where World War II didn't go our way and Hitler won. I mean, I was thinking about the show Sliders. Remember that show? They go into alternate universes and different.
Yeah, that was like way back in the day.
Right.
That was like mid 90s sci-fi channel kind of stuff.
Yeah.
What was his name? The one dude.
Jerry O'Connell.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah. Jerry O'Connell. Yeah, it was that show. Yeah.
So good.
Which, dude, honestly, growing up, that was one of the first shows that I ever saw where I was also at a place where I'd started getting into James Burke, which was very much about explaining things in a very layman's term. And I'm talking like quantum mechanics kind of stuff. So seeing that show really opened my mind to go kind of Einsteinian outside the box of time space.
Yeah.
And I really started not just questioning in like, oh, is this real? Can I trust it? But like, well, what if? I mean, if we're built in this construct, if we're literally raised in this mindset, I mean, what's I think it's in the back in the day Greek, where they're talking about there's 4 people in a cave and they're faced against a wall. and all they can see is the cave wall. And what they do is they light candles behind them.
Plato, I think. The cave.
Yeah, they're right. There you go. And all you can see is the shadows. So you never actually get full definition. I mean, if this is the construct, if this is, blame it all the environment, if that's how you're raised, it really does lend its hand to have that kind of ideation. It would.
Strangely enough, that was very advanced because that kind of explains some of the multiverse theory too, because something can exist within your realm of understanding, but because you've never been outside of this two-dimensional image of a shadow, like you could never fully comprehend. Like once somebody steps outside of that arena, they're gone. You know what I mean? If you can't see them in the shadow, they're gone.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, it's and you see it kind of all over in different cultures. I was just down in Lancaster, and I've done business. Well, but my girl, she has a business with like the Amish, and they're wonderful, wonderful people. But you go there, and it's a whole new world, and they're just a different level of person, and they're wonderful, wonderful people. I
used to live out in Chambersburg, so I'd drive amongst them quite often, and
it just feels different. It's like you go
So
there.
is it like have you seen The Invention of Lying?
Yes. Oh my
That's
God.
a great movie.
That is such a good movie.
Is it like the people in The Invention of before he starts telling his lies?
You know what it is? It kind of like is because
They're just very matter of fact.
they're very matter of fact and
okay, wait, quick, two things. One, is this the ESB?
This is the ESB. This is my second ever attempt at an ESB.
All right, cool.
I'm not sure how it's going to turn out with carbonation because it was in a screw cap for carbonation purposes.
Cool, great. Thanks for the preface. Question number two, the movie you all are talking about. I don't know. DMA, speak to me.
Oh, it's Ricky Gervais, and basically in this universe, no one has ever lied. So everything is very truthful. Like he's on a date with.
Do we have like what's the relative
She's like,
date
I'm
on
probably
this?
not going to sleep with you.
Yeah.
I mean, she just like
2009.
I love this woman.
That's why she's great.
You.
Somebody's got to keep us roped in.
You. That's why I love you.
Yeah, I mean, and it was a
Okay.
fantastic movie. So again, it was like, what if we, in a weird society of just saying like,
So everybody is impeccable in their actions, statements, words, everything. So there's no negative, anything.
Which means
It's like Pleasantville, black and white.
Anything you say has to be true.
has to be true.
Right.
So he tells an untruth
And then it comes true.
and it becomes true.
What was the show? There was a show.
So it started with the
an
bank,
alternate
right?
reality.
It started with the bank. He's in the bank and he's about to be destitute because he's going to get kicked out of his apartment if he doesn't come up with his rent. He's got nothing in his account, but I don't know.
The computer was down, and she goes,
Yeah, and
she
he
goes,
goes-
well, just tell me how much was in your account because in this world, there's no way to lie. And he's like, 400. She's like, oh, okay. And then the computer comes back on, and she goes, wait a minute, your account says 0, but you told me you had $400. So here, let me give you your money. That must be our fault. Like it was.
It must be
It's
an
like
error,
Canada.
huh? Yeah. Nobody ever believes that you're lying. And he stumbles on this and it's like this great
And
epiphany.
Ricky Jarvis is the main character?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Dude, I want to see this.
Dude, it's an amazing movie. I don't want to.
I enjoy him as a comedian, which typically, and this is the thing I love about comedians, typically they very much draw from personal experience. So they're very honest in their expressions. So wherever their joke comes from, there's a little bit of honesty behind it.
Yeah.
Well, this was most definitely written as a comedy, but there was a very dark undertone to it because
It's Ricky Jarvis, of course it did.
there was this whole
He's
thing
very
about
literal, but also very,
him lying to his mom.
Oh, the mom scene, man.
And that's what really pulled me in. I was like, wow, this is a comedy and it's meant for jest, but at the same time, it's like, this is some deep S right here. I mean, what he jumps into basically inventing the idea of heaven and God and all this other stuff. Like he just says,
so wait, is it a literal comedy where he's portrayed as a hero that doesn't die?
No, he's just an average guy.
Or are we
kind of
talking-
an anti-hero, if anything.
Well, so we're talking satirical comedy.
Yeah, it's a weird
Okay,
universe
I guess.
where, like, even he's telling his friend, who's played by Louis C.K. at the bar.
Yeah.
Dude, the two of them really are good buddies.
They're so
and they're
good
fucking
together.
hilarious together.
And he's telling his friend, he goes, he's like, my name, I don't know what his name is. He goes, my name's Larry. He's like, what? No way. Larry? I didn't know that. He goes, I invented the bicycle. He's like, no, that's awesome. And he's just so frustrated. He's going, oh my God, whatever anybody believes. And he's trying to take a turn.
And he's telling him the story of what happened.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, wow, okay.
And he's like, and Louis C.K.'s like, wait, so you said something that doesn't exist, it doesn't fathom in his head. So his mom is passing away, and it's this real dark scene. Sad, it's somber. There's a doctor in there. I think Jason Bateman plays the doctor.
Yeah. Oh God, I love Jason Bateman so hard.
The world's greatest straight man.
I have a hard man crush on him for his acting skills. Like, he is so dope as an actor, and from what I've seen, like in interviews and stuff, I want to meet that guy. I want to give him a big hug and high five him.
Yeah, so his mom is passing, and Ricky Gervais is crying and all that stuff, and he's very sad, and his mom, I think that they just believe that nothing happens when they die, and she goes, well, what's happening next? He goes, and he goes into like, you're gonna go into a wonderful place where all the family is there, and the doctors and everybody are listening, because remember, in this universe,
you can't make anything up.
See, this is why I said Pleasantville before, where it's very black and white, and everybody is just like, oh, golly gee, and it's like very robotic, and this is the only way to go.
Yeah,
like there's like one rule, and everything is perfect.
And he invents his own commandments.
Yeah,
I give you this 15,
it's funny. It's
10
really
commandments.
Funny.
Yeah.
And I think that's something to be said about comedy in general, is that like it's these really difficult things to talk about. Yeah. That end up like, if you can make a joke out of it, if you can get somebody to kind of break free from that feeling like, I can never talk about this publicly.
Right.
You know, like getting that connection and getting that laughter. But at the same time, I'm watching this movie and I'm just like, this shit is deep.
It gets super deep. You know, it's
and then everybody's depending upon him. Yeah. Like, he's the Messiah. Like, he's the one that brought all this, you know, the good news.
Oh, yeah, that's another big plot point. He works for, since you can't lie, TVs are like the Avengers wouldn't exist, you know. So TV is just, this happened in 1700. This happened in, you know, and it's factual. It's just, so he's working, and he had the worst decade, the worst century he had, like where nothing really happened.
It's like an Instagram feed read by Walter Cronkite.
And it's just so factual. So he started making things up that happened in the past. And
Susie went to the Shell and got a cherry pop.
You know, and
1712.
Like, he was taking coffee and throwing it on papers and being like, look, we found lost transcripts of something that happened in the decade.
It was like the 1300s or something. It was something like there was really nothing happened for like 100 years, and that was his little slot of time.
Now, how did he get into this realm? I mean, go ahead, spoiler. I mean, hey, people, if you don't want to...
no, I think it's just the way. That was
the world.
Like, they go...
but see, that's what I'm saying. Like, how... So wait, do
in
we
the
just...
multiverse,
like, do we just come
a world?
So it's an alternate universe where lying didn't exist.
And it was desperation that made him break.
Right. But does he wake up here? Or so it's like Free Guy, where he's a part of the system. He's an NPC. And then all of a sudden he's just like, wait a minute.
In a way.
In
a way.
Yeah.
I really do like that movie. Good reference, by the way.
They are making a sequel, by the way.
Nice.
Free Guy 2, Electric Boogaloo.
You just had to say that, didn't you?
Dude, every time it's a number 2, you got to Electric Boogaloo.
Time will tell what's the better movie. I was thinking about it's like, you stole me $100 over what's going to be the bigger movie, E.T. or Breakin' 2, Electric Boogaloo. And he's like, time will tell on that.
But hey, it's not done yet. It's still going.
It's the tally's still up. But
you don't get to dictate when it becomes a cult classic. It could be 2 years after it was done, 10 years after, 2 decades, 2 centuries. I mean, you don't get to say.
It's true. I mean, who knows? But yeah, I mean, going
little kids running around with MTV shirts now. Like, what is that? That kind of freaks me out.
Dude,
they'd have no clue.
I did a painting once, and I did it in tribute to our old Trapper Keepers. It was just a mishmash of designs, and on it I put an MTV logo, you know, a girl with a lollipop, and it just looked like a Trapper Keeper. And this kid was like 16, bought it, and I was like, what do you... You know, I was like, and he's like, I just love the logo and stuff. And I was like, that's weird that it's like a relic from a time that you don't know like how it was. Like, I remember being a kid, and I think it was like late 80s, the cable guy came in and he installed cable. I never had it before. And we're part of that generation that we were like, wait, there's more than 10 channels? Like Channel 13 was always PBS. I don't know.
Well,
Three, maybe?
If you remember, first it was just HBO.
No, dude, I had 3 and 2 of them was on the UHF.
Oh my God, UHF channels. And
However, one of them UHFs had Kung Fu and Elvira.
Oh my God. See, Elvira, it's so funny because
I pop collar on that shit, dude. I'm a mic drop. That's some shit to say right there. That's how I was raised. What you know?
See, I love Elvira to death. It's
How
so
can
funny.
you not?
I would do the horror.
Elvira is the equivalent of awesome like B-rated kung fu from like the Philippines or like dude Korea. Any of that stuff. It's that offset where it's just like it's a little different.
See, that's something
It's its
that
own thing.
Usually on my birthday or Father's Day or something like that, I always tell my girl and kid, and they're wonderful to me. But I say, you know what I want to do? I want one day of being a bachelor, and what that means is I'm going to watch crappy kung fu movies, and I'm gonna order garbage food. Not like I eat healthy food any other day, but I'm gonna
go a little bit further.
Specifically, yeah.
I get to specifically be selfish. I don't have to worry about you guys. I could order just for me.
I'm gonna get the onion rings and the mozzarella sticks.
Like
Yo, and the curly fries.
And the cheese fries.
No, and the curly fries with the boardwalk. I'm telling you. Yeah, that's it.
Oh, see, and it's the best. And I would say I want to do that, and I want to watch kung fu movies. And what were the other ones that we were just saying? I lost track. It was kung fu, and anyway, it would just be these old, fantastic movies. And I'm like, it's just this junk food for your brain that if you weren't raised on it, you know, like you don't get it, and you go, it's a hard sell. You know, like I never dated anyone and expect them to understand. You know, oh, this is great. And they go, no, this is dog crap. And you're like, well,
you just don't get it, bro.
You just don't get it.
No, dude, all right. So quick little side story. My daughter was raised right movie wise. So much so, literal story. Our dude came over the other night and we're chilling. He asked my daughter, he's just like, oh, do you know about the Breakfast Club? And she's like, oh, what, Breakfast Club? You mean like John Hughes, who did like 16 Candles, Great Outdoors? And she literally just like bangs out like 6 John Hughes, dope John Hughes, not just like the cheesy ones, like productions, legit John Hughes movies. And he just looks at her, he's like, okay. I was like, yeah, raised her right. You're welcome.
See, I love that, man. Like I see parents come in the other day, young girl came to the gallery. She did a Motley Crue painting, and then she bought it, and she was like 16. And I was like, and I wasn't one of the, I don't like gatekeeping. I just want to like, it was more fascinating. I was like, oh my God, how do you know about the Crue? And she was like, what are you kidding me? And she listed off the songs. And then her parents came in, you know, as I'm finalizing everything. And I just told him, I was like, I want to shake your hand, man. Your daughter knows about Motley Crue. And she started listing off all these great, you know, hair metal bands from back in the day. And I tell them, like, it's kind of our job as, I guess, Generation X, you know, because that's what I always tell these youngins. I'm like, we have stayed quiet. You know, like if you notice, like you just went to hating boomers, you totally missed us because we just are like the masters of sidelining. And I said, and every so often we'll come out and say, like, you know,
just gonna sweep that under the rug. What, that little guy right there? Hey, don't worry about that.
Yeah, don't worry about that guy. Like, you know, we know how to like, we're like the middle child of society. Like we know when mom and dad are fighting.
Mark.
So we know how to we know how to like in a society experiment is like take our Nintendo and go in the basement for like a decade and just miss a whole cultural thing and then pop our heads back up and be like, oh, what? We're eating Tide Pods? All right, I'm going back down. And
yo, I just got Jamie Kennedy and just kicking it. Right? And he's still into breakdancing.
He's still into breakdancing and stuff.
And pants with zippers.
But that's what I tell these kids. I'm like, we're in a weird,
like, not even the parachute, just like straight zippers that are nothing. They're just there.
Zippers, yeah.
You're just like, zip, 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 zip. Like, what's in there? This is a zipper. Zip, 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 zip. Yeah.
Pants. They got more zippers than Michael Jackson's jacket from Thriller.
Yeah, like, I mean, look at the weird stuff that we're talking about before. You know, Karate Kid and all that stuff with How I Met Your Mother. But then Cobra Kai comes out, and Cobra Kai is wonderful. It's amazing.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
It's so damn good. But I said we're in this weird pocket of time.
Well done.
Right? It's so. It's like I watched that show.
As I've said before,
it's a perfect extension.
Well, yeah, it adds to the dichotomy because this was my bigger thing is like doing the whole John Hughes thing with my kid because it's so well done in expressing these personality types. It's like, yo, think about it from here and here and here and here. Be open. It's not just what you think; it's what everybody else thinks, and it's somewhere in between. We can all get along. And
Yeah.
to me, that's the bigger thing is there's something to learn from it. There's a
We're
moral in
just talking
that.
about Marty McFly's supposed like rise to I don't know, like some great life, and then by the third movie, like you realize that he's just a corporate stooge, and you know life is teetering on the fact that he's built everything on this ego, and it's the ego that places this bet that he shouldn't place, and his boss and like
we follow.
he's a loser.
Yeah, we follow Marty's immediate happiness.
No, so that's the second
But
one.
there's I think your point was that there's a whole section missing.
Yeah.
In his life here, that like, what happened to bring us to this point?
Yeah, like how did we get here? How did we meet Doc? And then after the whole movie's over and okay, we're doing the Wayne's World super happy ending. I want to see the next day when he wakes up and he's like, oh my God, there's family photos, there's trips I don't remember taking, but I'm in an alternate universe of where my mom was an alcoholic and my dad was kind of a pushover, and you know, Biff was the bane of my existence, and now I have to reacclimate to this new world, which again would have
Everything went spinning out of control from the date that I made changes.
pretty much,
You know, like everything I knew as a kid is completely different.
completely different. And then the fact that, you know, Marty's kids in the future, you know, when you go, do they exist still?
Well, the question is, to avoid paradox, does time
and
actually
Marty's-
change does memory actually change in your head?
and what would that do to you?
No, it wouldn't.
How do you know?
So the logic, the logic would dictate in a scenario of that, because you're conscious of those timelines, the likelihood, and this is what I was talking about the movie earlier, Palm Springs. So the likelihood is, timeline wise, your brain would be able to retain this information. However, if you're on a long enough deviation from that timeline, your brain's going to remove that as usable or applicable knowledge. So it just disregards it. So in that scenario, if you do come back around, you would recall it. However, if you're in that scenario long enough, you know, whether it's like 10, 20, 30 years, you know, a couple decades, that's going to be your new conditioning. I mean, that's just part of the human condition. I mean, that's what we are. We're creatures of habit, unfortunately. So,
Yeah, I mean, I guess you would. Like I said, I mean, it's overanalyzing, which is kind of what I love to do, especially in films where there's that weird gap, because you go like, man, if you don't, I mean, the odds of
Like, what happened there?
well, yes, I'll be honest. In the idea that you're talking about, think about the movie Gremlins going from 1 to 2.
right. I mean, 1 to 2 was just, yeah. I sit there and I go, how did Gizmo get out of your possession? I know it went back to the old man at the end, and you know, like
He's like, what, did you go on vacation? It's like, yo, bro, can you watch my Gizmo for me?
yeah, like. I mean, I love how Gremlins too, they point out, they go, what if it's a different time zone? You know, what if something's stuck in their teeth and then they swallow it? And I'm like, well, crap, man. I mean, there's this beautiful painting we have of Gizmo, and he's like super somber and he's sad. And
He's like a mini elf / Santa Claus.
Yeah, and he gets himself wet.
But like
Oh, he's so
drunken
cute.
monkey.
exactly. What about his tears?
What was that?
he cries and he gets himself wet,
Yeah, right?
and then
Yeah, because I mean, now we're talking like saline. There's
Wasn't
a
that
difference
the
between
sound?
saline and water. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it does. Yeah, you get the.
but hey, that was
Bro, I'll give it.
that wasn't bad.
I don't do your Bobcat back at him.
That wasn't my dying dinosaur or whatever
No, your
chicken-sized dinosaur.
Your baby pterodactyl had stepped on.
I had a good point though. We don't actually know what dinosaurs sounded like.
No, we just made that up.
Or that they were green. We just assumed
could be
due
exactly
to
like
spectrum
Chewbacca.
of. Yeah, because it's typical.
I don't know. I like to think about that often when I watch, you know, because again, I hate even saying being in the art world. It's just I talk about art so much that my phone's algorithm likes to show me a bunch of stuff I have no interest in. Because
I'm like, dude, bro, I'm not The Office.
yeah, like, you know, people are like, hi, I'm going to take this. I'm going to pour 16 pounds of, what's that clear stuff?
The epoxy?
The epoxy, man.
Dude, I mean, honestly, that's pretty dope.
It's dope.
In real, like, dude, people have been doing that shit for ages.
Yeah.
And you're just now figuring this out? Come on now.
They're like, look, I took a bunch of screws and I took a letter from my grandmother and blah, blah, and I put in epoxy. I'm like, we are going to confuse the hell out of whatever alien race comes down. And they're like, why was this fossilized? Like in these little things, like why did they take flower petals and all this other stuff?
Dude, I heard, and I may be incorrect, so you might want to fact check me on this shit. I heard that one of the things that we sent out into space is like message to the world, you know, outside of our universe to be like, hey, intelligent life, come on over here, check us out, was like a shite ton of tweets.
Oh, really?
You really want to be that's our diplomatic expression to the entire universe of like, we're intelligent. Why don't you come communicate?
Oh,
really?
Don't get me started on the base,
I feel like
base level intelligence of the average
like
American.
That's what I'm saying. Like it may have just been happenstance, you know, overhearing like BS grassroots kind of like, you know, that's why I was like, you might want to fact. Philly D is known to be wrong a lot.
It's like NASA sent a text out to aliens just saying WYD. Like, what you doing? Like, you know, and then aliens like, not much, you? Like, you know,
you're right, exactly.
That's the way it's going to be, man. Like,
dude, I mean, in all honesty, I feel with where we're at in humanity, the appropriate response would be like, if you know, you know.
Yeah.
Like, oh, bro, you ain't going to tell me I ain't on the list? Yeah, dude.
It's all coming.
We're not allowed at the party. We come walking up and the bouncer's just like, nah, you can go to the back of the line, bro.
Oh, dude, we're
the back of the line is infinity. It's like hell.
It's just
horrible.
What were you saying? I mean, I don't think it's going to be like a violent overthrow. That's the smoke screen, right?
Violent overthrow of what?
Like the aliens violently overthrowing.
Oh, if like they're like coming here to use us as slaves.
Yeah.
Like that's the MO and they're just waiting for us to be large enough. They're like, and now it's efficient.
That's the government right there.
Dude, it depends on which one we're talking about.
It's so weird because like, you know, I think about like stuff that's in the ocean and stuff. And I'm like, look, man, if I was an alien, where would I land? You know, I land in the deepest part. If you go deep enough, the hard part.
She brought this up and we've had this conversation before. Yeah.
Look at an octopus. If no one in this room knew what an octopus was, and I told you what it was, what it could do, it could shape shift, it could color change, it could be as big as this table and fit through a pen hole. And you guys would be like, oh, you're making a cool monster movie. I'm like, no, man, that stuff exists. And if you had calamari, you ate one.
You heard of a cuttlefish?
Cuttlefish.
You ever seen them things?
Dude, it's like a fish that's like on permanent acid for whoever watches it.
I mean, it's like
double rainbow.
It's not the only thing I've seen in this world where I'm like, how is that not an alien?
Right?
I mean, like, you want to talk about different levels of reality or like universes or metaverses or whatever. It's like there are many levels of reality existing right here.
The same to
when
be
you
said
look
for
at like a praying mantis and you see that, I mean,
dude, I was just going to say that when you get if you do the close up of like a beetle of any kind of sort, or even like a housefly, or, you know, the smallest spider, and all of a sudden you get like
that's not terrestrial.
Face to face, you're like, bro, what the hell is that thing?
I hate spiders so much. Like they're my biggest fear on the planet.
I don't like spiders.
This is why I don't want to go to Australia. Have you seen the things that they got poisonous snakes, poisonous spiders? Yeah. I think poisonous dogs. No, I'm just kidding.
They have poisonous everything. And I'm like,
I think, is the water safe to drink down there?
You know, and I always had one wish. I said, if I could like Dr. Dolittle one animal or a creature or whatever, you only pick one. I was like, I'd pick a spider, because if I could talk to it, I think we'd solve all of our problems in like 10 seconds. Like, we'd be like, look, man, I'm terrified of you. He'd be like, yeah, same to you. And I'd be like, look, if you could just tell me when you want to come out, I'll tell you my schedule. And he'd be like, look, man, I killed all these things for you. If you would see the things I eat, you'd be happy. I'd be like, I'm excellent, man. You know, like, sorry about jumping at you in the shower. I didn't know you were going to work. You changed your schedule. We would be in such harmony. But I always feel the same way I do about spiders that I do as about cops. Like, you know, and I love
if
cops.
I was going to have a superpower, it wouldn't be just to talk to one type of animal. It'd have to be all of them.
See, you would think.
I don't know, man. I kind of have to.
But if you had the choice of only one,
I think you might. At the end of the day, you might only want to choose one. Because if you talk to them all, I mean, think of how stupid people are, and we have to talk to them. Could you imagine, like, every animal wanting to talk to you, like, you know?
And I don't mean you guys out there. You guys are not
everybody
stupid.
Listening here is incredibly intelligent. I'm talking about everybody.
I mean, they were smart enough to tune in.
Yeah, I mean, so they got that
real
going.
talk.
But, you know, if you're talking to every animal, you would lose your mind. But I think, like I said, I think spiders and cops, and I'm not crapping on cops. I love cops, what they do.
Well, you know, because I was going to say there's a difference between a cop or an officer of the law
Oh, fair enough. But think
Hey,
about
I have family that's in law enforcement, and I can very much say there's a difference between an officer of the law and a cop.
right. And
Are you a cop? You a knock?
You a knock?
you knock.
Anyways, yeah, go ahead.
You would know.
Because I want to hear this analogy.
Oh, it's the same exact thing. When you see either one, spider or a cop, you feel the same way. You go,
Well, yeah, because dude, cops, man, you don't know what they're up to.
It just tightens up.
You just, if I see an officer of the law, I'm like, "Oh, good day, officer. How are you today?" And he's, "Well, I'm quite well, thank you." And we, it's
but
great.
yeah, so even that, like even like the good cops are kind of like daddy long legs and stuff. We're like, I know you can't do anything to me, but like we're okay. But like even when you see a cop, you go, oh my God, what are you doing here? And I pray to God it's not for me. And that's what I feel like when I see a spider. I'm just like, I love what you do. I know you kill bugs, like, and I know cops, you catch criminals, and I'm not doing anything wrong, but now I feel like I'm doing something wrong. And the same thing with a spider, where I'm like, I keep my house clean. There's no food. What do you want from me? Why are you here? Like it just drives me insane.
This analogy on a general scale totally works. Unfortunately for me, I've had so many encounters. So from a personal family experience of dealing with, again, I have like law enforcement in my family, but also my checkered past, redacted. There should be, and I'm just like, no.
Did you redact your entire checkered past, or just the fact that you said checkered past?
Both, yeah.
Okay, that's
that was So it's kind of like when the government like, oh here, yeah, you guys wanted all of this, and there's just like 4 words, and there's 18 pages, and it's just like a lot of black. Yeah, no, that's I can neither confirm nor deny at this point in time. However, what I have heard was that's pretty much where, mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I'm just saying.
Sorry about the uncomfortable silence there for a moment.
But bro,
yeah, but that's like that's
Pause for effect.
Like I said, if there was one
a
thing,
pregnant pause,
it would be a spider. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's probably a better pick. Like someone's like, "Hey, man, I talked to grizzly bears. Now I have a grizzly bear army." I'd be like, "That's dope." But
doesn't
doesn't
a small part of you hope though that like if a spider does bite you, that you'll get some kind of awesome power from it?
Oh no, shit.
You know what sucks is like I thought about that too.
Like Spider-Man rocks, but you're afraid of spiders.
real.
Like Spider-Man rocks.
Like what if that could happen?
Yeah, and like and again, like I'm okay now. We caught it early, but I got bit by a tick, and all I got was Lyme disease. I'm like, that's a t-shirt.
Sucks.
That's a t-shirt. I'm just saying, write that down.
Like now I'm just like tired and shitty and achy. Meanwhile, like Tobey Maguire is all diesel, threw his glasses away, and I'm just like everything hurts, and I got rheumatoid arthritis, and all because
Should you at least become like the tick?
I wish I would have come like
the tick.
I would have worn the blue skin sand spoon, put my friend in a moth outfit. That would have been awesome,
Bro.
But
There is a tick that makes you a vegan.
I heard about that little guy. Like,
Yeah, it's called the Lone Star tick, and it makes you allergic to red meat, and your body will like refuse
You know what it's
it.
called?
I heard about
It's
that.
called Christian. Hi. Come on, where is he? Christian, are you there?
No, he's not allowed in tonight.
Christian.
Dude, I was drinking way too much in the green room.
Oh, margarita.
Yeah, no, that guy's always hanging out.
Who's going to answer the door?
The freaking Buffalo Bill, that's who. Oh, can I help you?
Oh, I love Buffalo Bill, man. That's one of the greatest voices. Like when you want to end a friendship. Like you just start doing that voice to somebody and they will just leave.
I mean, hopefully, if they do in return, you kind of
Really
have
uncomfortable.
Oh yeah, if like
Real
someone walks
F
into
right
the
there.
gallery and I'm just all like,
Or you have a
want to
best
buy my
friend."
art? The art's really good. You should totally buy my art. If you don't, fine. And if you keep that going and just totally Daniel Day-Lewis, never break, be totally method. Just be
Never,
Buffalo Bill
yeah.
for a day. You'll live like you'll be dancing like nobody's watching.
That was
Like,
my reference. That
Oh
I said.
my God.
I said that movie is like, it's one of the scariest movies. Like
Oh, yeah.
seriously, when you talk about like real shit that could happen, like one of the scariest movies. But like,
can you help me with my sofa?
the minute I heard that voice, I was like, I couldn't help but laugh.
Oh yeah, like go to a drive-through next time you're at Dunkin'
And that was
Donuts.
his whole point. It's like
I know.
the cops are right.
I know the sheriff's doing the door-to-door
cops are
knocks.
going door to door, like knocking on houses. The minute they hear this was his reference. The minute they hear that voice, they go, I don't know what he did, but he's guilty.
Yeah.
I don't. It's just sheriff's office. Oh, can I help you? Yeah, get this guy right here. This guy, him. I don't get cuff him. I don't. What's your name, buddy? Yeah, we're just gonna. It's posterity.
But I just made margaritas.
Oh, I got margaritas. The blender's running.
You guys want a blueberry Pop Tarts? And then they're kicking the door in.
Dude, that's what I'm.
That's him.
I hate the profile.
That was his whole thing. It's like just that voice. It's like that's him.
Like
I just know.
Yeah, go to Dunkin' Donuts tomorrow and literally go to the window and just be like, could you explain the difference between cold brew and iced coffee? And just watch how fast they just push you through the drive-through. Like they will.
Next window, please.
Yeah, somebody else pay for your order. Go ahead, drive away. Like, oh, sorry.
4 bags of crap in your hands and just go. Just go.
Take it all.
Dude,
Put the coffee in the basket.
Dude, I just got the scene from Snatch when like freaking Brad Pitt is like telling you everything that he wants in the freaking caravan, but you don't understand him, and you're just like, just give him everything.
Yeah. Just give him the whole thing.
Yeah, partial to periwinkle blue. Oh, something about periwinkle blue. I don't know what's going on. Oh my god, get him a coffee.
That's why I say. I mean, I don't know. I think there's kind of a bliss into being. I see some people, and like, you ever watch those people, and they're just. You look at them and like, wow, you don't give a shit. You don't give a shit about anything. And they're just totally unique. And you're like, wow, you really are living your best life. Like you just act a certain way. And they're not, and I'm not making fun of anybody with a disability or anything. It's just someone totally normal. And they're just balls to the wall crazy. And you go, I wish I had the nerve
to own that shit.
To own it and to be in that character all day.
Yeah, I got the scene from Waiting when Ryan Reynolds sits down with the old dude and he talks to him and he's all like, yeah, he's like, what's it like to be old? He's like, well, honestly, he's like, I can get away with like flipping people off and, this, that, and the other. And, they just think it's senility. And he's like, oh, that's cool. He's like, what's the downside? He's like, well, sometimes I actually flip people off. And it's just like, oh, buddy. So it's like, hey, dude, there's 2 sides to every bit of this.
Oh, I feel that way sometimes, where I go, like, this is, like, I sit there and I talk to people sometime. I feel like I'm a bit oversharing. And then I go, I wonder if these people think that there's something wrong with me. But then I go, we've gone too far. So I can't pull back now. Like, I have to finish this weird story or, whatever it may be. But it's to go what we were talking about before about these young kids that talk all digital. And that's why I think that words, they pull them out and they go, oh my God, that's bad. You go, no, you need the whole context. You need a weird scenario to bring up.
Right.
And you have to get that, like, so many people get bugged out when I go, hey, how you doing? And I look them in the eyes and I'm like, I'm waiting for a response versus just waiting to hear good, or I'll bring up some fact that they went through last week or something. And I think that they genuinely like it. So I don't know. I think it's instead of being weird for the sake of being weird, it's good just to, I guess, be real with people. And then when you go weird, it's actually really funny because then they go, well, we've never seen you do that. Like if you walked in, you're like, Vic is being Buffalo Bill all day. He's doing.
Dude, let me know if you do that for a day. I'll just, whatever I'm doing, I'll have to make sure I'm there.
Like if you walk in and someone's sitting there with a stopwatch, I'm doing something. Like I tried to do.
Call Guinness.
Yeah. Oh, so this is a thing.
Oh, I did it once on.
I did. Well, this is the one time.
Yeah,
my mother hung me on a hook once.
I was on
once, Johnny. Once.
I was on a big Daniel Day-Lewis kick. He's one of my favorite actors, and I probably won't do the voice well, but I sat there. We were doing a podcast a couple years back, and I said, I'm going to come down, and I'm going to be just Daniel Day-Lewis from There Will Be Blood, and I'm not going to break. So no matter what I was talking about, it was all like, yes, I like to do art, and that's what I do all day. And it drove my friends nuts. And I was sitting there going, like, method actors, they're okay. Like, I get it. Like Daniel Day-Lewis, I think you guys were talking about this a while back. Some of them are fantastic. But what bugs me is like when people are like, I played the Joker and I went insane. It's like, it's a role, man. Like I could do it. Like anybody, you don't have to go nuts. Like, does that make sense? Like, there's like these weird curses or someone's like,
well, so there to me, and this is coming from my spiritual, but also in like educational intelligence. So psychologically speaking, the fact that you can have 2 different ideas on that where, okay, in order for me to get into that mindset, I can just play a thought experiment and be impeccable in that expression. So I can discover what it is to be that person and then express it.
I don't know.
Well, no, there's the secondary where in order to be an appropriate expression of what that is, you have to live it. And to me, being that method or so deep into it that, yeah, you get lost. So I can understand that.
Right.
So, the logical side is like, well, no, I can rationalize what it is, figure it out, and then, hey, I can express that. Cool. It's a mathematical equation. But then there's the alternate where you get so deep into it, you literally get lost. I can understand that as well.
Well, you ever heard it said, like, if you're sad, smile, and even if you don't feel it, there's something about that the movement of those particular muscles will actually induce a happier feeling. Well, could it be the same the other way around too? I mean,
yeah,
because what's the expression? Negativity begets negativity. Well, same with positivity. Same with like neutrality, like just being like, dude, if you're mellow, it's going to be mellow. If you're down, it's going to be down. If you're up,
you're trying to visually appear, and audibly as well, as somebody who's basically a schizophrenic, psychotic,
right?
Like how do you do that and still maintain?
The correct term is dissociative disorder.
Well, no.
No, it's by definition, yeah.
Schizophrenic.
So,
which is different.
Well,
schizophrenic does not mean multiple personality.
So when you cross over, because you were talking about the additional, and that's why I was like, it's just a joke. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Schizophrenia is like when you see and hear other people.
Well, no, that's not. Dude, you know what? As usual, we're getting close to that point. That's why it's obvious. It's like so because this interesting. To properly discuss this topic is not like, oh, let's just chat for 30 seconds.
You can't just dabble.
Because any and
put your toe in.
Yeah, right. But any and all sciences are
trees over here.
It's a mathematical representation of a high probability. So it doesn't matter what it is. We ourselves are still trying to figure that out and using it, rationally with statistical measures. So, that's just anything can be possible. Dude, don't look at me like that. What? No.
So, yeah, Vic, definitely have to have you on again.
Oh, thank you guys for having me on. I've stayed quiet because I know on the green room, I'm not bringing up anything. I'm just going to, but thank you guys so much for having me. It's been a blast.
Yeah, we'll have to have you on again, definitely, and talk about how, early influences like Bob Ross and how that affected your...
Oh, absolutely.
Bob Ross affected all of our lives.
Oh, he was a beautiful individual.
Let's pour one out for Bob Ross real quick. Oh, wait, no, this beer's pretty good.
We'll finish it. For
one for you, Bob Ross. Yeah, there you go. We'll cheers to you, good sir.
Yeah, he was unbelievable.
Oh, imagine it's painting my throat the whole way down.
Honestly, I feel like we can have an entire episode just on Bob Ross. We could probably do like a small mini series, like 2 to 3.
Have you seen the movie yet?
What's that?
The documentary thing.
There's a documentary about Bob Ross. Oh my god!
Well, it's a lot of information from his son that came out, like the information about
I don't know
what was actually happening behind the scenes, and
does it explain the squirrel in the pocket?
Well, he got written out of a lot of his money.
Who did?
Like Bob Ross didn't make anything for any of the promotional stuff. His paints, his paint sets, his.
Well, because
not
even his Chia Pet.
Nahinajad?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know. Maybe Chia Pet was an exception. I don't know. Maybe they gave that one to him. I don't.
Yeah.
You know what? Just like Tesla and all the other cats, it's not about the money, bro.
Tesla wanted to give it away though.
That whore.
Give it away now. All right. Anyway, as usual. Right.
As usual. Yeah, we're like way over probably. It's okay.
We're totally way over. So yeah.
Yeah. So we just wrap it up quick.
It's been nice having you guys. We love you.
We thank you, our guest. We thank you, our friends, for listening. I'm Telling You with Philly D.
Mr. Gemini.
Miss JD.
Special guest.
Victor Baello.
Yeah, and as always, fam, be good to yourself, be good to everyone else. Peace.
Peace.
Later.